kick it off, even though it's not quite. There we go. It is officially 1 minute past the half hour. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Tara McLaughlin. I'm the Senior Customer Success Manager here, and I'm joined by my wonderful colleague, Claire Skiba. She's also a Customer Success Manager. If you're attending the webinar on time management, you are in the right place. And we are so glad you are here. This meeting or this webinar is being recorded, and we will be sharing the recording and all of the resources along with this slide deck afterwards. So please feel free to jot down any notes you have or any questions you have in the Q&A portion of the Zoom doc. If you have any of those, the chat has been disabled, so that'll be how we can communicate any questions you have. But typically, we always give a background about what Smarter Measure is in case you're sharing this with somebody who's new. These webinars are intended mostly for our Smarter Measure clients. And of course, today we're going to help you with time management and how to help your students manage their time well to be more productive. But in case this is being shared with someone who might not be as familiar with Smarter Measure, Smarter Measure is a powerful student service tool to help evaluate a student's readiness for online learning. It highlights key aspects like their learning styles, technical skills, life factors, individual attributes. These are all critical areas of a learner and can pinpoint where they might need some additional support. We also have a report for students that they see that helps identify areas, as I said, that have, they may need some support in, but also strengths that they can capitalize on immediately to help gain confidence. Smarter Measure plays a vital role in helping boost student success and retention rates because it helps you at the institutional level identify those students who are at risk early on so that it gives you that time for students to make adjustments and get that key support that they need to be successful. The way we measure these non-cognitive skills with Smarter Measure is we divide it up by sections or scales, and within each of those are subscales. I'm not going to read this verbatim. As you can see, we do take that holistic approach. We look internal, and there's 2 scales or sections for those individual attributes and learning styles, and you can see those subscales. External to the learner, life factors gives you that environmental scan, and these are the subscales for that. And then we actually look at specific skills related to technology, reading on screen, keyboarding, and if they have any prior experience using an LMS. And we also have optional writing and math readiness pieces. Most of our schools don't use those, but if you are interested in learning more about that, please contact Claire or myself, and we'll be happy to get you some information about those. Why should we measure non-cognitive skills in the first place? It's crucial because it often answers the reasons why students aren't engaging in their coursework or their courses, or maybe their interaction with you if you're an advisor. Maybe they've ghosted you, haven't shown up to office hours or something. Maybe the student isn't motivated, or maybe they have some time management challenges, or maybe they're how could I say it? They're nervous about their technology skills, right? And they don't know if they should admit that they don't think they have the best technology skills. Unlike more of the fixed predictors of success, like say first generation status, non-cognitive skills are very immediate and actionable. By fostering self-awareness and providing targeted strategies for support, you can make a significant impact in these areas, and students can overcome obstacles and be successful. Time management, we picked this because it really is a universal struggle for students. It's something that isn't necessarily taught in school, at least, right? So it's not a subject, right, that they're learning. And prioritizing time and staying focused is just a challenge. But with the right strategies, students can really take control of their time, see significant improvements, and again, build that confidence. How do you identify these? Which students need help with time management and which ones are okay with it? Smarter Measure, we have 2 subscales within 2 of our sections. One is life factors, the subscale of time. So we're helping Gauge for the learner, how much time do they have available to dedicate to their studies? And then individual attributes, the subscale of time management. So students, as well as the schools that serve them, will get a picture, a window into if this is a strength or an opportunity for improvement. And I challenge you to make sure you're using these sections, life factors and individual attributes, so that you can measure these for your students. And if you're not sure, reach out to your success manager and we'll be happy to make sure that you are. Um, Now, again, time management challenges, we say it's a critical issue. We wanted to use this because it's something that applies to so many students. The statistics really are staggering and they tell a story. 80% of students report feeling overwhelmed by their responsibilities. And that points to the just significant mental health challenges they face and the urgent need to be better at managing their time and getting some support systems in place. Procrastination is another issue that students face. 60% of students identifying that as a significant problem. Despite this, only 11% of students manage their time effectively, underscoring the widespread struggle with these skills and the clear need for targeted interventions. Anxiety related to time management is also a serious concern, affecting three-quarters of students. This anxiety doesn't just impact academic performance, it impacts their overall well being. 40% of college students struggle with balancing their work and personal responsibilities. And that's not even just students, right? That's something I struggle with as an adult working. But I can't even imagine being a student who is an adult working and having to struggle with balancing my family life and maybe caring for a parent as well as school. It can be overwhelming. So, helping students with this skill, it is something that's kind of, there's a lot of strategies around it, can really go so far. And let's just even call out the one stat. Did you know the average amount of time a person spends online a day is almost 7 hours? That's a long time. So whether, yes, they could hopefully be using it for productivity parts, but they might be also scrolling the interwebs, right? The sources are also linked at the bottom of each slide if you wanted to refer to any of those. Um, all right, so now we're going to talk about setting goals. There's really a plan that needs to be put in place. So students are setting clear goals so that they're not just vague concepts, right? Um, they have to identify both short and long-term goals. It's helpful to define exactly what they want to accomplish. Breaking these goals down into manageable parts and tasks can make them more achievable and less overwhelming, right? You eat that elephant one bite at a time. Next, create a solid time management plan. This includes developing a daily, weekly, and monthly schedule. And this isn't something that might be as intuitive. So, helping students do that, break that down at the beginning of a term can be really helpful because that can help them with establishing a routine around that. Um, and then utilizing time blocking to ensure that each task has dedicated time for them to use till its completion. Finally, practicing specific time management strategies can make a big difference. There's techniques out there that we'll expand on later in this presentation, like the Pomodoro technique, which is 25 minutes of focus periods. And then the Eisenhower matrix helps with them prioritizing tasks so that they stay on track. And then there's visual reminders. That's a great way, especially if they're a visual learner in general. I know that I am. I put notes up all over the place. It's a pretty much an organized mess, unorganized mess, but it makes sense to me, right? Post-it notes and all kinds of visual reminders so I don't forget that one thing that's so important. And then as far as setting goals and priorities, we took a play on the SMART goals. We, because of smarter measure, we added an ER and to it, right? But the same logic or the same principle applies. These goals should be specific, measurable, relevant, time bound. And then we added the ER, and the students can encourage themselves to keep on and then reward themselves when they have realized that one goal. And then again, looking at short term and long term. Don't just focus on the big things or the little things. You got to do both, a little bit of both of those. And now I'm going to mute myself and give the speaking time of the remainder of our time to my colleague Claire.
Yes, thank you, Tara. And thank you all for joining. We're kind of glad we picked back up on the Smarter Measure webinar series. So these are really fun for us to do, even though we may not love speaking publicly, but we really hope this content, makes sense and allows you guys to get your students on the right foot coming back to school, and just providing them with some, great ideas that can help make those small changes to create those better habits. So basically taking incremental actions can make big outcomes. So a few ways we can do that is track our day to identify where we need improvements, delegate tasks. Can they be put off for another day? Are they that important to get done now? And then of all of the things I'm doing, am I completing the things that are most important? So those high priority items. Time management is definitely a challenge. It's a challenge for everybody, not just students. But with some small adjustments, we can all make better habits. And a few strategies we could possibly share with them is time blocking is one of them. So allocating each moment of your day to those meaningful tasks, right? It may sound like a lot tracking. I mean, people do that with dieting too. You track your calories, you track, your steps for the day. But when you're aware of those types of things, those are the things that make those improvements, right? It's small changes we can't change overnight. So also sticking to our schedule, right? So if we're going to try to time block, try sticking to that for an extended period of time. If you find yourself being successful, that's great. But if you find yourself being distracted or you're not getting those things done or you're not retaining the information you're studying, try a new method. So refocusing when we're distracted, I think is key and just being realistic about our time. So not every approach is going to suit everybody. It may require us to experiment with different methods to determine what works best for us during this time. So we just really try to provide some of these ideas so you can encourage your students to at least just start somewhere, find their rhythm, what works for them, and possibly looking at traditional methods like a planner or digital. I personally like both. I like the convenience of looking at my day on my phone, on my calendar. Okay, I have these many things, these meetings today, but I also have these things I have to get done. So where can I set time aside to work on this project? I really like the traditional method of getting a pen and getting my planner or even color coding, highlighting. Like Tara said, she has post-it notes all over. So it may seem chaotic to somebody. It may not make sense to somebody, but if it works for you, that's all that matters. So that's where we're trying to just provide ideas for students to start somewhere. Next slide. And one of those could be the Pomodoro method. So I like this where it layers out all of the things we have to do in like those small pieces. So this method can be used academically, but also in your personal life, right? So select the task you need to work on, set the timer, focus for 25 minutes, take a short break, repeat those steps, and then take a longer break. So I find myself doing this in my workday too. If I have to work on slides for a presentation, right? I have to dedicate certain time during my day to work on those. And then if I have to do something in my personal life, there's so many distractions. You're working, screens, noise, pets, kids, homework, all of the things you have to do in a day. But if we just focus on focus on a small amount of time and take those breaks, I personally think that's really effective. So maybe one of these methods will work for your students. And we have another one on the next slide is the Eisenhower box. So I really like this because it takes every task that we have to do and then prioritize them based off urgency. So if I have an exam coming up or I have a paper I have to write, I can dedicate certain time to that. And some may be more priority than others. So most of us can't get everything done we need to do in a day. If you can, that's great, you're winning. But some of us, we just have to kind of let some things slide or always prioritize the most important. So we can just sometimes eliminate those tasks. And that's kind of the Eisenhower box is making sure you're getting those urgent things done right away, schedule time to do another project and then delegate it. Sometimes offloading. I am definitely type A, so I like to have it my way, but when I can't have it my way, I have to realize that I can trust the people that I'm delegating this to get it done. So really relying on maybe our classmates or maybe our family to do something. So just really kind of setting the tone for the students is making sure you're getting the most urgent things done right away and not saving those to the end of the night when you're tired and distracted and you maybe just want to go to bed. Next slide. So these are not new. These ones are three really great time management exercises. So we encourage students to use all three. I personally like to start with the 168-hour week one because we all have the same hours in the week, but we all use them differently. So you can see by looking at this, things we don't normally think of: sleep, transportation. How long does it take me to get to work or to school? How long are my classes? How long do I need to study? So those are the types of things where if you're visualizing it, you're writing down the hours that you're spending not only in the day and the week, it gives you, sorry, I'm losing my voice, but it gives you the rest of the time that you can allocate to your week. So then we have a few other ones, which is the time management exercise, which is basically a blank slate. So in a 24-hour period, you can list, yeah, right here. You can basically fill this out. It's printable. So for those students that want to have it digitally, or the students that want to literally get a pen, highlight, maybe even color code this worksheet, but it allows you to write down be intentional with your time, writing down what you're going to be doing during that time frame and then sticking to that. So if you feel yourself distracted, having this at your fingertips is a great reminder. Oh, I really should be studying for my math final, right? Or I should be, and if I have questions, go to my instructor's office hours, right? You could even put that there. Um, and then the last one is planning and prioritizing everything. So that one is a 2-pager, but you can list your daily goals, your to-do lists. So this is kind of the Eisenhower and the Pomodoro method where you're ranking your priority. So high, medium, low, I have to get this done today. I should get this done today if I have extra time, and things that I can kind of postpone. And then looking at those upcoming tasks. Do I have assignments due? Do I have exams coming up? In my personal life, do I have commitments that I've already committed myself to? Is that going to stress me out? So really just being intentional and having those visual reminders of your goals and how you can get there to be successful. Um, Next slide. So, okay, so this is where our new content comes from. So the first one we have 3 new ones today. So this is the back to school checklist. So it's August, which, summer just of course flies by. Why can't the winter months fly by? But here, this checklist is, it's for students. It's to guide them. Am I prepared? Did I register for my classes? Do I have the technology ready? Sets priority, helps them be organized and get in the mindset of planning. So I'm going into my schoolwork. There's going to be a lot coming at once. I mean, I personally love routines and schedules, so I would thrive. But this helps students with time management, and then also the importance of communication. So I'm organized, I have my classes, I have everything I need, but now I need to introduce myself to my instructors. And not only the instructors, get to know their office hours. If you need specific support or accommodations, talk to your instructor right away. Learn their preferred method of communication. Do they want you to come to office hours? Do they want you to email? Do they want you to, if you're in face-to-face, do they want you to walk up to the front of the room at the end for a question? But also get to know your classmates. So I think we don't put enough emphasis on that. Like, not only can your instructors help you, but the school has resources, but students also have great ideas. So when you're coming together, you're all learning the same material and you may learn it differently, right? So I feel like sometimes it's not what is being said, it's how it's being said to somebody. And sometimes that will resonate with you. So getting to know your classmates, getting to build that support network, and reaching out when you have questions. Don't procrastinate. So that's really just kind of the back to school checklist. Again, this is fillable. It's also, you can print it off, check it off that you did all these things, get prepared, get in that mindset of focusing time. And then the next resource we have is this academic success plan. So this is a 2-pager. So it really helps students identify their strengths. So we not only want them to take Smarter Measure, but we want them to look at their results. So what are my strengths? What are potential challenges I may have coming up? How can I review strategies that can help me during this time? Am I working too many hours? Do I have transportation issues? Do I have too many work hours working? So, and then also that second page of this is looking at identifying goals, and then not only academic goals, but also personal goals. And how am I going to achieve those goals? So being in the mindset of writing the things down, repeating it to yourself, sharing it. And at the end, we have at the bottom of this, you may not be able to read it, but we do encourage students to share this with their school, share it with their family members. So as long as we can just be on the same page with everybody, we always just want to emphasize communication. So I think that is something that we sometimes struggle with, just voicing what we need. So that's where these checklists, the success plan, encouraging students to share this with their school who can support them on their team. And then the last resource is this is similar to what we released a few months ago. So a few months ago, we redesigned our advising script. We made it this playbook. So we not only broke down Smarter Measure as a whole into sections, subscales, if it's a strength, if it's opportunity for improvement, listing all of the available resources pertaining to those subscales. But now this is one for the students. So this is completely student facing. We get that schools don't have the bandwidth to have a follow-up with every single student. And some students, for those students that don't, maybe they have low help seeking, or they don't want to reach out, or they're afraid to reach out, or they're afraid to voice their struggles. This blueprint basically, it's Smarter Measure in like 7 pages. So it breaks it down for them. It's talking to them, it's engaging with them, it's asking them questions, how they can manage their time. It's providing them with ideas, worksheets, those time management worksheets. So if you can kind of see at the very top, those 3 time management ones that we went over, those are linked there. And then we also, if it's an area where students are having strengths, that's great. We have encouraging feedback there, but we also have ideas and activities and proactive questions we're asking students. So they can use this as they wish. All of those are clickable links. So all of the resources that the advising playbook has, this one has some as well. And so they are student facing, they are meant to help them. So we're really excited about this one. And then at the very front of this, the academic and success plan is linked right there for them too. So again, please share this with your students. Sorry, my kid's coming in. This is another distraction. But this is life. So, right. But so anyway, we are so excited that we have 3 new student facing resources, to get them back to school, to get them focused, to get them identifying their goals, and why they're there for everybody has a reason why they're going to school, and we all want them to be successful. So, finding the right balance is key. So like we mentioned, we talked about a few strategies we could encourage students to do: Pomodoro Method, Eisenhower Method, planners, reminders, silencing notifications, not only on your phone, but also on your computer. All of that stuff, those small distractions really make a big difference. So I actually read an article on distractions this week, and I wrote it down because I want to remember, but it said that on average, people receive 1 interruption every 8 minutes, or 7 interruptions in an hour. So totaling up to like 50 to 60 interruptions in a day. And that really hit home for me because I feel that. I feel I'm on a call right now. My 7-year-old's running in here asking questions that really are not important right now, but it's distracting. And so it can get students off focus. And then it could even be a cluttered desk, or you lost a piece of paper, or Tara lost one of her sticky notes, right? But all of those distractions and those messages and those can really kind of knock you down, right? But if we bring our focus back, review the things that we are trying to do right now, being intentional with our time. And if that method's not working, try something new. I always recommend trying something new for 30 days. I think that's a good time frame to kind of stick to a habit and really reflect on if you're seeing improvements, if it's working. If not, try something new, because not everything's going to work for everybody. So, and like we have on the screen here is adequate sleep, maintaining a healthy diet. Those are key factors, right? If we're not sleeping well, we're going to be tired. We're probably not going to be eating well, right? We're going to go through fast food because it's easy and quick, but it's definitely not nutritious. And also seeking support when you need help. That's actually a sign of a strength, not a weakness. If you need help, we rely on people. We do it day to day with our teammates, right? So I think just being upfront with students and having that open conversation and just awareness of, right now, this is what I have to do. And so I may have to say no to some things that I want to say yes to, and that's okay. Next slide. And so I kind of touched on all of these, but trying different methods, really trying to strengthen our time management, staying organized, being consistent, seeking help. And then also at the end of the day, just monitoring your progress. Reward yourself. Don't be down. If you tried something new, that's great. So always kind of being in that positive mindset. And that I think is really going to help students achieve their goals, stay motivated, and really know the reason for what they're doing right now. It's not always going to be this hard. We are not always going to be busy, 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 but right now, sometimes we just kind of have to have a shift focus on what we're really trying to accomplish. So, next slide. Oh, this is it, I guess. So thank you all for joining. We have more webinars coming up soon. We will be posting those dates and times with everybody here. We are also going to be sharing the slide deck, all of the new resources. So we really hope that this helps you, this helps your students. And if you have a topic where you want us to kind of make a webinar on, or maybe you have ideas for new material, please reach out to Tara and I. This is what we really like to do. We really like to create these things so we can help you and your students. You guys are student facing, we are not, so we just kind of get the feedback, but all of this stuff is based off of client engagement. And so we really hope that you guys leave today with taking something away that you can kind of help your students with when they start school. I mean, some classes are probably starting this week. So if there's any questions, please post them in the chat. Otherwise, we will be sharing all of this stuff with you after this webinar.
Yes, we will. And please share them with your students or your colleagues, your advisors, other team members. And if there's a team that's maybe not as familiar with Smarter Measure at your school that you think could benefit from this information, with the students that they work with too, let us know because we'd be happy to schedule a training with them, informational or get down to brass tacks and this is how it can be used. We do it all, so that's a service that we provide for our client schools. So just reach out to us because we love to help you help your students. And I hope that Jessica will get you this information and I hope it helps your students. And thank you so much for starting to share it with them. All right, that's the only question we have so far. So if there's any others, feel free to email us. I guess I can go back to that very first slide with our emails. It's just our first names at smarterservices.com. Probably should have ended with that one too, right? But here it is. So if you guys need to reach out to us, we'd love to hear from you. I think you might get a survey after this. So if you'd love to fill that out, we'd appreciate your feedback. That could be a way to share any of the other topics you'd like us to cover. But thank you so much for your time and we'll be in touch.